Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Loads of huge matches in the Americas. VCT going down last night. 100 Thieves and Evil Geniuses both with big games on their campaigns. 100 Thieves just about get over the line against Crew, but not in a particularly emphatic fashion. And there's been lots of calls after Cryo sells joining this team in the off-season for him to be either benched or removed in the near future. He doesn't seem to quite have the confidence so far that we expected. Is he in a yay situation where since Chamber is gone, he's not quite the same player? Or does he just need a little bit more time? Very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to dive into. First of all, in the Pacific region, just wanted to share what is going on over there because it's absolute chaos. DRX at the top, GenG just after that. And after that, it's an absolute mess to be honest. But we've got Global Esports playing Paper X last night. And look at this scoreboard here, right? Even as Fnatic Mini says, KC Zyppan subbing in for their series is less crazy than what's going on here because, I mean, yeah, in the APAC region, they just love doing stuff like this where we've got this guy CGRS here on the Gecko played map 1. I must admit, Gecko's win rate in competitive play is not looking good. I know that when it first came out, there was all this talk from some pros that he was going to be super overpowered and some pros that he wasn't. The reality is he's not really getting used, and when he is, he usually loses. So obviously, Paper X made some changes, something with a great series though, 270 ACS, 58 kills over the 3 maps here, and then Global Esports make so many changes. Every map they had a wildly different team, it felt like. And I mean, yeah, just look at this overall scoreboard here from Global Esports. With Lightning Fast, a pretty good name, and Ronski coming in, it's absolute mess to be honest. They did win game 1 13-7, then they made a change on Split, and then they lost this 13-6, and then it was 13-7 on Pearl. So in the end, relatively comfortable for Paper X. The other big series of the day was GenG versus DRX. I thought this is going to be very interesting. Two teams right to the top of the ladder, and it's DRX that come out on top 2-1 in the end. It's not exactly an easy series. Mako and Buzz turned up when it mattered. 13-7 on Haven, 13-10 on Fracture, and then in the end 13-4 on Pearl. Relatively comfortable. DRX maintain their claim to be the best team in the region. And just to quickly look at the standings for you guys, here we go. So DRX, GenG, Paper X at the top. Zeta 3-1 now. So they, I believe, are still yet to play some of their really tough competition, but they did, have some good victories lately, and puts them in a position where they're not far away of maybe being able to handle GenG or Paper X for qualification for Masters Tokyo, which is certainly what they will want to be achieving. Quick note as well from Doombros here, so the coach of Na'Vi, on the assistant coaches. So this was a big talking point over the last couple of days with Psycho and Kaplan, and why they've got rid of Psycho, why Kaplan is now the head coach for Sentinels. And of course, their analyst, Drew Spark, is now stepping up into the assistant coach role. But according to Doombros here, in the other regions, such as in EMEA, the assistant coaches aren't allowed to speak to head coaches during the game. Over here, it is banned, so I hope this is not the case, since then we are on completely different rule sets. But even Lucas Rojo says in the replies, it is the case, as in it is allowed. So it's interesting why this wouldn't be allowed in the first place, because as Psycho confirms in the replies, yes, head coach and one assistant coach can talk to each other, and both coaches can talk to the team during pre-game, halftime, and timeouts, which, I mean, look, this makes sense. I can't see the reason why this wouldn't be the case, but for whatever reason, in the European region, they are playing on a rule set where the assistant coach isn't allowed to even speak to the head coach. I don't know why that would necessarily need to be the case. If you're going to pay for the assistant coach and it's allowed within the rules that you're allowed to have an assistant coach, why can't they speak to the head coach and even speak to the team? And that's allowed by, as Psycho says. So very interesting though that he reckons that in different regions it's a different story. And even Spin says from Global Esports that in APAC they can talk to the head coach and then the head coach has to talk to the team. So they're allowed to speak to the coach, but the coach is the only one that can interact with the players, which maybe this is the most sensible system of all of them, so it's a clear channel of communication. But there's 3 regions and 3 different systems for how the coaches can interact, which gets very interesting when it comes down to an event like Masters Tokyo, where all the teams are at one venue. So obviously the rules have to be the same there, but it's like, what rules do they follow in that case? And if the team is used to doing X, but the rules are now Y, don't know why this is the case. Very interested to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. The other part of the Psycho story is just there were some comments here from Dephh on it in an interview that he did yesterday. I received a Discord message. It wasn't in the plans for Psycho to be gone. No one really knew about it. It was a shock to all of the team. I think there was obviously some differences there between our owner and their head coach. That is very evident. We saw that immediately after their series loss, Psycho probably had a few words with Rob Moore, and then was shortly after straight up fired from the team. I know there has been some talk about budget reasons, just because we've seen what Cloud9 have done in recent times, and Kaplan is clearly a capable coach, and from a personality and other perspective as well. So maybe there's an argument to say that Psycho was fired just because they wanted to. I mean, look, they had 3 three coaching staff, right? They had Drew Spark as their analyst, they had Kaplan, they had Psycho. Is that really necessary? Can Kaplan do the main job and Drew Spark can be there to assist from the kind of assistant coach perspective? Maybe that's fine, but I think this is more than a budget reason, right? I imagine there was some serious questions raised. I can imagine a world in which Rob Moore texted Psycho and Psycho replied to be like, oh, you know, give us time, we're still, you know, still improving and stuff, and he was like, I'm not taking this, it's bad answer, mate, you're getting straight out of here. Marv also gave some comments on their match they played, talking about how he didn't actually fly in time. His flight was delayed, or like he missed his flight or something, which delayed the plans. So by the time he actually arrived, he only had a couple of warm-up scrims with the team, and they still played as well as they did. So that's a very promising sign, I think, for Sentinels. With a few more days of practice and preparation, they should be good to go against Furia today, I believe it is, which is a massively important game for their entire season. NRG versus Sentinels tonight as well, which is certainly a big one. But also wanted to mention that series 100 Thieves versus Crew from yesterday, because this was a massive one. Battle of two of the worst teams in the league technically right now. Crew Esports have been very poor, I think, really. Stella made a ridiculous clutch actually to keep them alive in this map, but eventually they go down quite comfortably on the ascent here. Crew, you would expect them to improve over time, but ever since they brought cNed back in, they haven't quite been as good as you might expect them to be. So, I mean, yeah, I don't really know, but 100 Thieves, they lost map 1, and then they went down 8-2 here in the map 2, and you could have thought they were going to completely collapse it, but you've got to give a lot of credit to 100 Thieves for actually having some composure and bouncing back here in this map, because they made some plays. Asuna was on fire, Cryo turned up on the final map of the series, but definitely had some questionable moments. And this is the thing with Cryo, when he joined the team or when Chamber was in the meta, there was all this talk that either Cryo is the second best pickup after Ye, because they potentially could have got Ye 100 Thieves, they went Cryo instead. I thought Cryo at the time with Sean Guer's coaching and everything made the most sense from a personality perspective. He's quite similar to the other guys on the team, but ever since, and obviously he's good at the Jet as well, but he hasn't quite, I mean, he's on the Sage here. It's very interesting what they're doing with their compositions, and he doesn't quite seem to have the confidence right now. But in fairness, the final map of the series, they go all the way to Fracture, and they get the job done in the end. 100 Thieves, good composure from them to beat Crew, but still, Crew haven't got a win so far.
Yeah, that's fucked. We gotta give him that one.
Give him that one.
We have to give him
what happened?
that.
What happened? Are you whip?
The 1 HP frenzy? We have to get that kill.
Yo, his confidence is actually.
It's that would ruin my confidence. Like I get killed by 1 HP frenzy though.
He
Wow.
watches the VODs after.
That has to be.
Watch party
Yeah,
VODs.
100%. 100%.
Oh, whoa! EDG Cryo!
Oh, wait,
my God!
Yo.
Welcome to EDG.
The Shanghai Dragons
Welcome
have
to
open recruitment.
EDG, you said?
Oh my God.
EDG's a franchise team, bro.
Oh, whoa. So you're saying he shouldn't be in the franchise?
Welcome to Shanghai Sharks, bro. Number 10!
Okay.
Cryo!
He's gonna be a superstar over there.
That's close.
Cryo's contract extended.
How long? Half a day?
2 more months. I'm just kidding. 2 more matches.
12 more hours.
Well, isn't all their matches like they lost OT in like 13-11?
Yeah, they all missed because of op shot.
Who's up? Is that Cryo?
What player are you talking about?
Okay.
I was like, I'm bringing it up every occasion.
Oh,
Cryo
bro,
is just
2
missing.
matches they lost
Yeah,
because
that
of an
was
op
rough.
shot.
I can't lie,
Like,
that was
from
pretty
one
rough.
op shot. And they both were happened at the same spot.
Yeah,
Both on heaven.
angle. He's got to go in the server and just have someone swing that angle like 100 times. We got to bring Chamber back. Let's bring Chamber back.
Are you calling him a chamber merchant?
Guys,
Is that what you're saying right now?
Yeah.
He's the best instigator. The guy said, what?
He said yes.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Well, he was. He was good at chamber.
Fuck it.
So there were this couple of clips flying around, right, from Sinatraa and Sabrosa talking about, you know, how Cryo was not having the confidence, he wasn't doing particularly well, he was going to get benched in the near future, and, you know, there was even questions right here, Cryo's confidence like booms. Now, in fairness, right, at the end of the series, feels like a very different story, because he had a great final map of the series and they won it, but still, against the better competition in a really tough series, is Cryo able to deliver what they need from him? There's a bit of a question there. Obviously, Ye was benched benched by or completely removed by Cloud9, not for performance reasons necessarily, we believe, but even Jack Etienne we saw yesterday was kind of disagreeing with that and said, well, we weren't performing, so someone had to go. And obviously, Ye in his first series on DSG didn't look particularly special either. So there is a question as to whether those two players that were, when Chamber was around, the two best clearly in the North American side, now aren't quite in the same boat. But I think it's definitely worth giving more time. But 100 Thieves as an organization has some real questions to answer, because this series, Crew should be a solid team. They should be better than they are. But still, not beating them more comfortably, I think, will be a concern for 100 Thieves. 13-4 game one. Crew had a rough one on the Jet here, then on Splitty at the Sage, and still delivered a positive performance, but wasn't exactly spectacular. But then Factory really turned up on the Jet 20-9. So the potential is still there, obviously, but if the confidence is not always there, especially against some of the better teams, that's when questions are raised. The other series before we close out here was Furia versus EG, and this was very impressive from Evil Geniuses, I thought. This was an unbelievable clip here from Demon 1. This guy is so good, and like I mentioned it at the time when he joined this roster, that like this was definitely the right move. This guy's added so much firepower to this roster and has been making some ridiculous, I mean, look at that 3k with the jet knives, absolutely spectacular stuff. But still, it was not enough. EG tried though, and they're looking better and better, to be fair. They played very well. Furia are one of the best teams in the region, but if EG want to actually achieve anything in this Americas, this is one of those series they really needed to win. They had some chances. 1-2 versus Furious, as Ethan thought we were looking good. They looked better, ran out of steam at the end. They had some chances here, Evil Geniuses. I mean, they lost game 1 13-15, close 4-0 on the Ascent, and I thought many expected that, okay, it's going to be close out and Fracture, but no, 13-7 for EG here, and then Haven 13-10. They had a great first half, 7-5, and then the start of that second half really came back to bite them. Demon 1 did a great job, but was there at 30-13. So honestly, impressive stuff from Evil Geniuses. They're definitely getting better. Interesting to see that since BCJ is gone, they are looking more competitive, but nonetheless, they still lose the series. Furia are very good, but they're not quite the best in the Americas region. So, good result, I suppose, for both teams in some respects. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.